You just need to focus on one topic per slide. So divide up that crazy busy slide into 3 or 4 if you need them. It's okay.
Yeah. Hey there, and welcome to yet another episode of the World of Presentations podcast, brought to you by us at presentation agency 356 Labs. I'm Boris, the founder of the company and your host for this episode. And today we have not one, but 2 guests. Swinford and Turberg are here. And for those of you who don't know who they are PowerPoint MVPs from many years. They have written, as I like to say, the book on PowerPoint templates. And surely they are speakers at upcoming Present to Succeed conference. Julie, Echo, welcome. Thanks for joining. And Echo, let's start with you. What else should people know about you?
Oh my gosh. Hi, I'm Echo Swinford, and it's good to be here. Thanks, Boris. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I have, I started working with PowerPoint in 1997. And I started out in the old NNTP news groups. I started asking questions. I read it religiously to try to learn PowerPoint. And I eventually started answering questions. And then Microsoft made me an MVP. So you're right. I've been an MVP for like thousands of years.
Okay. Julie, what about you?
Hi. Great to be here, Boris. I'm Julie Turberg, owner of Turberg Design. And yes, MVP for many years. And with Echo, the co-owner of building PowerPoint templates. I landed in this crazy business while I was in art college. So I'm a trained designer who kind of fell into the world of presentations and ended up doing business theater. So I was backstage doing the graphics for big business meetings and eventually transitioned into writing about the subject and then speaking about the subject. So I've been on both the front and the back of this crazy world of presentations.
Julie, by the way, we discussed the questions, but I now remember that you have a Surface Studio. That's one of my favorites.
I do not. Sandy has a studio. I have the Surface Book too.
But weren't you planning to buy it when we were in Seattle? Or you were just looking for books?
I was looking for the book too, and I bought one, and I love it. It's the best laptop I've ever owned.
Yeah, I mean, these are incredible. But I thought that you were also looking for that one.
No, Sandy's got the studio.
I know for Sandy. She has the first edition, right? She has the Surface Studio one. Yeah.
I think Boris is remembering when we were at the Microsoft store and using them and playing with them. And I think we were all jonesing for one at the time.
But I don't regret my decision to buy this book too. I will definitely, I love it that much.
Yeah. Plus, I also know that Emma from Australia has it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she is also an owner. Anyway, the Surface Book is incredible. We recently bought the Book 3, the 15-inch, the maxed out, whatever, 32 gigs. And by the way, funny story, it went on blue screen on the first update. So that is a laptop for 3,500 euros. Right. Blue screen on the first update. I was like, really? Really?
What happened?
I've rarely had any issues with mine.
Same, by the way. Same on mine. It's all okay. But that brand new one, the maxed out with the 32 gigs, there was just one of those cumulative updates for .NET. And every single time, if you go to the update wizard, like the Windows update, it just starts installing it and then goes blue screen. Every single time. So I needed to do some magic there to go over and pass that update in some way to kind of...
Can you take it back?
Oh, no. I faked it. So it works. I just went on another build of the Windows. And this is how I more or less incorporated that update into the machine. Anyway, back on the important questions and everything that's important for life and in life. The book. That book became extremely popular. It is, you cannot find it anywhere, almost anywhere. There are some people that are trying to sell it for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Was that like something like this?
At one time, Building PowerPoint Templates book was available on Amazon for $4,000.
Yeah.
We laughed. I wish I had taken a screenshot because it's not that much now.
Oh, okay. So what is the backstory of that book? Like, how did that happen?
Well, so the backstory is that Julie and I started building templates actually for Microsoft to make available for download from PowerPoint back in, I don't know what, Julie, 2005, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Somewhere around there, somewhere in the mid 2000s. So Julie was designing the templates with art direction from Microsoft, and I was building them. And we had to learn by trial and error, basically, because, the paradigm shift from Office 2003 to 2007, templates and PowerPoint under the hood was very different. And so we learned a lot through that process. And, as the years went on, we started seeing more and more templates from our clients crossing our desk, and they were horrible. I mean, for lack of a better way to say it, they were just bad. They were poorly conceived. They were poorly constructed. They just didn't work. So we decided that we needed to write a book about it because just basic information was not available for actually specifically template building. So we put our heads together and we wrote a book and published it in 2012, I think. So, it's been out for a long time. We haven't done a lot with it since then because not a lot has changed.
I mean, Julie, I can see because we're on video. Also, Julie really wants to say something. So Julie, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that writing a book is much, much more time consuming than you can ever imagine. And so it's really a labor of love to get that information into book form. And a bit daunting to think about doing it all over again right away. But so I commend those folks who do version 2 right after version 1 is published, because we both have businesses that we are, running while this is going on. So it's
well.
Go ahead.
But also, I would say that there hasn't been a lot of change in the template space in PowerPoint since we published the book in 2012. The biggest thing is probably about variants, but otherwise there's not been a lot. Would you say? Would you agree?
I'm really interested in the font story, and that's always been a big thorn in my side. The limited amount of fonts in Office and the whole embeddability story and, cross-platform compatibility and all that was always just a big, as a designer, you just always want to be able to use whatever beautiful font your company wants to use. And so watching the changes in that whole font story, I knew that was going to be an important part of the updated chapter the updated information on fonts. And so telling that story, I kind of had to wait for Microsoft to do their thing and release this whole cloud font capability. And so we have a lot of information to put forth in the book for that, as well as other fonts and the whole, cross-platform embeddability and why you should and why you shouldn't. And so
I agree with you. I think that the font story really is the impetus for updating the book, because other than that, I guess I should have said other than font story, there hasn't been a whole lot of update, not a lot of functionality under the hood. Not a lot of that is different. I think so. The font story is probably the biggest update. There's information about variants because those have been updated, but I think otherwise we're working on it now. So we're adding, I think, some of those lessons learned over the years, some of the weird things that we've run into, and here's how you overcome those. So we've tried to interject a little bit more of that type of thing in addition to the information that was already there.
Yeah. Julie?
I also have to say that one of the other big challenges is providing information about what to consider when you're developing a template and not having it look dated. Because when I look back on the original book, it's like, all the examples look so outdated. And some of the advice we had for including all of the layouts, because folks were upgrading from older versions. So we didn't know which layouts were going to be important. And so we have guidance about, hey, you can get rid of some of these layouts if you don't need them. And here's how you do custom things. And here's how you get rid of the whole, let's provide 9 levels of bullets for everything. We don't want to teach people those outdated conventions. We want to really educate folks on how to design a template that looks great, works great, and works for whatever purpose your people are going to be using it for.
Yeah. So more or less, you are saying that there is a new book coming. Give us an update.
So there is a new book. It's in process. We are both really busy business professionals. Volunteering our time also on behalf of the Presentation Guild takes up a lot of our time as well. But the new book is in process. We really hope it's released this spring. That's our goal.
Okay. Is it going to be available on Amazon again so that everyone can get it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to self-publish, and I think that we're going to probably do it through Amazon would be my guess. I don't think we've fully decided that 100% 100%, but I'd say we're probably 98% there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I can imagine that the process of self-publishing is not as easy as having a publisher, but probably it has pros and cons as everything, right?
Well, the first version was actually published by Q, not Wiley, sorry. The first version was actually published by Q, but they decided not to publish a second version because it's a very niche subject, and I don't think they sold, hundreds of thousands of copies or anything. So it's understandable. But they gave us the rights back, so we're able to self-publish that second version. I think that one of the concerns, and Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things is it's not just like publishing a typical Kindle book because it's not just text. And I think publishing something that's very visual is different than just like publishing your novel that you wrote.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say, Jules?
There's a lot of advice out there on self-publishing a book, and I would say most of the audience that they're talking to is publishing a book that consists of all text. And if not, they have a few black and white figures in
Couple
there.
pictures.
And we really want full color. We really want, and talk about with Microsoft updating screenshots. I'm sorry, with Microsoft updating the UI on this regular cadence, doing the self-pub, we can update our figures maybe, on a regular basis as the UI changes. Maybe we can update those as well, being a self-published.
That makes it easier indeed. Okay, we will come back to the templates, but you are also doing so many other things. I can see that you're passionate about templates, as people say. So you are doing so many other projects, you work with a lot of customers. What are the top mistakes? And let's focus this on the design mistakes. What are the top design mistakes that you see your customers doing? Like what is going on in there?
Well, I think that what I see most often is the typical stuff that we've been seeing for years. The biggest thing is people try to cram too much information on their slides. So they'll cram everything on there and then it won't look good. So they'll send it over to me and I will, strip out some text and I'll move some things to speaker notes or I'll make it into 2 or 3 slides. And they're always like, well, why is this so good? I have one client who she always sends me these horrible tables. Their colors are, their main color is red. So their PowerPoint tables are always red and pink, right? And she sends me over her stuff and the tables especially are horrible. And so all I do is just strip out all the things and put in just light horizontal borders and things like that, internal borders, just very simple. And she came back to me one day and said, why do your tables look so much better than mine? Like what? So I walked her through the steps and then she could get it. So it was just about stripping off all the extraneous. That's what I see the most. Is honestly people just cramming too much stuff on the slides.
Still,
that's my biggest.
2021. Still, that's the same problem.
Yep.
I see even things that have been designed by so-called designers in presentations. Some of the things that I see mistake-wise are really cramming too much on a slide, but also not respecting the white space around the margin. Give yourself some breathing room for text and the edge of the slide. Otherwise, it creates that little bit of a tension point, and so your audience's eye is going to go there because they know something's weird, but they don't really know why. White space, give yourself room to, for your eye to breathe on the slide. Teaching people that it doesn't matter how many slides you have. It really doesn't. You just need to focus on one topic per slide. So divide up that crazy busy slide into 3 or 4 if you need them. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. But what about the virtual, by the way? What about virtual? Like, did something
legibility, readability? Make sure you are readable. Just because I'm on my laptop doesn't mean that I can necessarily read something that's gray on gray. Give me some contrast.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm going to say with virtual, if you don't need that video, don't show it. Because it sucks up bandwidth, and 9 times out of 10, the person hasn't set up their sound correctly, so it doesn't come through. And nobody can hear anything, and all they see is stuff moving. So all you've done is just like locked up everybody's system.
Edit thyself.
Yeah.
I still see way too much text in virtual presentations.
Yeah, I think that there are still people, even here with our customers, they approach it in the same way as before. And that means that they are still approaching it as always, which is the biggest problem probably globally. It's not just the US or Europe, or it's scary to watch how gigantic that problem and way of thinking is.
Yes. Boris, you said gigantic, and this made me think of something too. This is actually template related, not necessarily design related, but one of the things that I see consistently, and I've seen this for years, but I've seen it 2 or 3 times just in the last couple of weeks. A client will approach me and say, we're having problems with my template. Can you look at it? And I'll say, well, send it to me. And they say, I can't. It's 50 meg. I'll send you a link. Okay. A 50 megabyte template is not a template, and it does nobody any favors. So the design agencies who are creating these things, they're killing me. Your PowerPoint template is not for high res print. And if you can't even email the template, how in the hell do you think you're going to be able to email the presentation? Seriously. It's just ridiculous. It kills me. So I just had to get that off my chest. Thank you.
Now that's public. So going to the templates, back to the templates, because you already started the discussion. Obviously, the size of the template matters. In this case, what else are you seeing, or what else are you seeing on the market? Because we were talking about the fact, and obviously the book and our industry in general, we like the world of business thinks about templates in a completely different way than us. And we know that they are wrong. But what is really a template?
We struggle with it because with PowerPoint, the terminology, it all means something different to different people. But PowerPoint has a very specific definition of a template. And in my mind, and with PowerPoint, what a template means is it's the infrastructure. And it's your background graphics, it's the font theme, it's the color theme, it's the pre-formatted placeholders that are in position for your content. Julie, what do you want to add to that?
I think a template provides that, like you said, the structure for folks who are not designers to develop a presentation that translates the brand. And so the more tools you can give them that are branded and pre-formatted, the better, because we all know that our clients are not designers and the stuff they come up with is so if you want to provide more tools, you provide things that are maybe complementary to the template. We do a lot of slide libraries that have been designed with the template as the chassis. Provide those tools where designers have made the decisions on what things should look like, but ultimately it's just a starter kit, right? It's not going to create the presentation for your clients. It's the starter.
Yeah.
Right.
But it has to be done well. Still.
The goal is to help the users not have to, like designers are used to starting with a blank canvas. Typical users, typical information workers, they call them, but typical people using a template don't have that kind of training. And so a blank slide is intimidating to them. Like a template is really to give them a starter point. So if their content is, 3 buckets, maybe you have a layout that has 3 boxes or 3 ways to bucket your information. And so it's just helping them organize their content and format it quickly so they don't have to fight with PowerPoint all the time, just giving them that kind of structure and starting point. Jules, do you want to add to that?
I do, yeah, because a lot of companies make the mistake of releasing a template that their branding, group or their marketing group has blessed, without the tools and education on how do you approach a presentation. Here's what it could look like. Here's a template. Here's some sample slides. But without those tools and maybe some training, they're only going to get so far. And so, yes, a great template is going to help your company. It's going to help your team, but they really need to go a step further.
Yeah. So
it's not going to solve all the problems.
No, it is not. A template can only go so far.
Yeah. So what would you advise? Because a lot of people that are listening are the business professionals. Like some of them may be taking the decisions of changing, updating their corporate template, whatever. What should they be looking for? Like when they're asking for somebody to help them, what should be there in their offering? Because we all know our industry, that normally templates are being built by the branding agencies as part of a brand identity project. And that never ends well. So Julie, what should they be looking for?
there are a couple approaches to designing a new template for a company. One of the things that Echo and I do is a comprehensive slide audit of existing presentations. Show me the ways that your company is producing presentations. What are the various needs that these people have? We've got all kinds of, you have some presentations that are internal reporting presentations. That's completely different than a CEO keynote presentation. And then some of our clients entrust us to redo their overview deck or their sales presentation. That becomes the impetus for the template design. So we redo the main story, redo the visuals for that story, build a template that houses that story, which then spurs forward, more layouts and more looks. Mm-hmm. So it starts with rethinking the actual story itself, branding it, and then giving folks the tools they need to expand on that initial story.
Yeah.
Well, I think the expansion too, we often provide, slide libraries, grab and go slides. And that's where we end up with the difficulty with terminology, because some people consider that their template. Like, here's a set of slides that you can use, and you can copy paste these and use these in your presentations, because these are the slides that we use most often. These are our, 40 corporate talking about us or what we do or that kind of thing. These are the important slides. And so we'll design those, and we'll have those as a separate file that they can grab and go. We call them boilerplate slides, slide libraries, all of those different things. But they're set up so that they work with that infrastructure of the actual underlying template chassis, so that you can grab and go and copy paste.
Yeah, and
so
you also mentioned
it's like
training. Tell us a little bit more about the training. Like template, they need a new template. You're building the template, or someone in our industry builds a proper template with the slide library, but having a training together as part of the project, why would they search for that? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll answer this one. It gives folks, most folks don't touch PowerPoint every day like we do. They come into PowerPoint when they need to, whether that's once a week or every couple of weeks. And so giving them maybe an hour's worth of, here's your template, here's how to use it, and here are some tips to make you faster, right? And to help you navigate PowerPoint to create this presentation quicker using your new template in the new library. I think that that's a big bonus to folks, instead of just throwing the template at them and saying, here you go.
Well, yeah, I think that
something new. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. Here's a new toy. Play with it. See what what kind of a mess you can make of it. I mean, honestly, people don't get training ever in the fundamentals of PowerPoint. They don't understand why, when they copy things from their old file into the new one, colors change. And so those are the kind of things we also cover when we do like initial template training. Let's talk about getting your old content into here and why your colors are changing and what you need to do to fix that kind of thing, and how you can do that quickly and efficiently so that they don't get so frustrated with the new template, because there's never going to be what was I saying yesterday to someone? There's never a magic bullet. So there's not a magic wand. There's not a silver bullet. There's not an easy, instantaneous way to copy paste a slide from one deck to another. So you have to help people be efficient with that kind of thing, I think.
Exactly. We're all about saving people time, but we want them to produce the most beautiful, effective, branded presentation they can. So all these tools and techniques and they all work together as a package. We're not just throw something over the fence and say, here you go, you're on your own.
Right. But to that end, honestly, Julie, I think what sets our templates apart from a lot of the others is, honestly, I think we're building it more with the user in mind than a lot of things a lot of places do, or a lot of others do. It really is about providing user instructions in the template itself as much as possible. We sometimes put in those organizational layouts to help users find the appropriate content layouts, especially when you have lots and lots of different looks and layouts for them and options. So there's a lot of that. It's really as much ease of use as we can build in.
And it always starts with asking the right questions. Are you using this are you sending this out as a document? Because we see those quite often where the client really just needs a template to produce PDF documents. Yeah. And so if that's what you need, that's what you're going to get. We're not going to give you, a presentation template to have you go off and start producing those documents with. It's going to be customized for that particular need.
Yeah. And when you say that, I remembered a moment like 2 years ago, we were invited into a meeting and we didn't know who is going to get into that meeting. So we were just invited and we enter in a room, and then the CEO of a company here in Sofia that represents those brands like Red Bull and all of those, Evian or whatever, he enters. He's from Austria, like very Austrian type of person, like very strict, very nervous, or at least that's how he was looking. This disciplined person, the CEO. And I remember his first words, and I will never forget that. He was not he didn't show us anything yet, but he just said, I don't care how much it costs. I just want somebody to fix it. And I was like, okay, we have a problem here. Like if the CEO is going to be talking to us about a presentation, it's obviously it's going like something is wrong inside of the organization. Someone tried to fix it. Many people tried to fix it. No one succeeded. So now they're like, okay, enough. And so what he showed us were actually 542 slides in one presentation. Relax, Julie, it's okay. So 542 slides, which were actually the data points and all of the data per country per quarter, right? And that document had to be consumed by each CEO of each country, each quarter. 542 slides. Every single one of them looks different. Every single one of them measures different things. So they're not even measuring the same KPIs across the countries. And so it was just a mess. And this guy goes and opens up an Excel file and says, here is what I want to happen. And you can see the most organized, beautiful Excel file on the planet. Like you were like, German, this guy is a German. I know. You can guess it. So you see that those 440 whatever slides are now 98 for all of the countries. All of the countries are going to measure the same thing, right? And he says, this is what I want to do. And I want somehow to give them everything that they need. And I just want them to change the numbers. That's everything. So we built all of that.
Great.
He sees it at the end. He doesn't believe that it was going to be possible. So he goes to us and says, I actually didn't believe that you are going to make it. So I was like, relax, don't worry about it. You are going to pay for it. So he sends it to the guys in France. I remember that one. He sends it to the guys in France. And we receive a call 1 week later, and it's his assistant. And so she was like, you have to see something. And I'm like, what? Having in mind that these are charts that were built and they're just like, they're editable, right? Everything is just there. You just change the numbers. And you know that when the transition slide says France, that's your part, It's your part. Don't touch anything, like your part. And so we see those guys, and you can imagine the colors are blue and green, mostly because of the drinks and because water and all of that stuff. The guys in France added a little bit of pink, added a little bit of yellow, added a little bit shapes on top of the charts in a diagonal fashion. And so the CEO was like, I just cannot do that. Like, it's how much more simple can we give it to them, and they're still ruining it. Like, it was insane. And
everyone loves to be a designer with PowerPoint, don't they?
I mean,
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
But I love that. When he said, I just don't care how much it costs. I need somebody to fix it. When you hear something like this.
I've had a couple of those.
Yeah. Like I was like, first I was like, there is a huge problem here. And my second thought, if I have to be honest, was like, we're going to make some money here. Because if the CEO says that, I'm like, okay, I would not even send him an offer. I would just send him the check at the end and just ask him to pay it, and that's it. Yeah. Anyway, templates are crazy. That is crazy stuff. Enterprise designer. People don't know about it, but Microsoft are doing a little bit of things around it, and it's related to templates. Should we say something about what enterprise designer is and how it could be beneficial? Echo?
Sure. I actually wrote a chapter for the new edition of the book that talks about how to set up your templates so that they work with enterprise designer. So in PowerPoint, design ideas is a thing in PowerPoint where when you insert like a picture or in some cases uses certain kinds of text and things like that. You get different options, different design ideas in a panel that you can just choose a pre-formatted slide and you click on it and there it is. So it can save you a lot of time, and some of the designs are okay. The problem is when it first rolled out, it didn't work if you had a custom template. Like, it was only for the stock Microsoft template. And so corporations were kind of left out there. Well, Microsoft has since updated it, and Designer will work with your template if it is set up properly. So I wrote some information on what you need to do to make sure your template is set up properly so that Designer will offer you designs that look like they're in your brand.
Yeah, so that is now possible. Yeah. So for everyone who is running Office 365, which actually surprises me, do you see a lot of your customers having and using Office 365 actually? Like, what is the case? Julie, maybe on your end?
Yeah, I think all of my clients are on 365. I don't think I have anybody using an older version anymore. It's lovely. Really? I'm so happy. Yeah.
Really? Echo, is that the same for you? Like, is it the same?
Most of mine are using Office 365. So yes, it is the same. I do see, though, I teach a data visualization class that's like open enrollment, and I do see a few 2010 users coming through there, especially with government organizations. But I think it's out of support now. So I think that they're finally starting to move forward to 365.
We recently saw 2007 in a bank.
How about you?
2007?
In a bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's because of Excel add-ins. They test those so extensively that moving forward is slow there.
Could be.
That's why. Yeah.
And then we are getting to the point where we need to talk about your session at the conference. It's about templates. What should people expect there? Who is going to take that one? Echo?
Sure. So Julie and I have presented about templates at Presentation Summit for a long time. And one of the things we struggle with is trying to create, we've tried to do a workshop, we've tried to do Q&A, we tried to do a whole lot of different things during the conferences. And we usually have 2 hours and it's still a struggle. So for Present to Succeed, we're looking at like 45 minutes to, an hour, somewhere around in there. So we were trying to figure out what the best thing we could do is. So we're going to do our template top 10. We're going to just do a quick and down and dirty. Here are the top 10 things we look for when we start looking at templates. And so we'll go back and forth, kind of like we are today.
Guarantee people are going to learn a lot from it because there are so many little nuances that folks just don't realize. And so I guarantee there's going to be some learning there.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not I will be the moderator of that session. I think Eva will actually be your moderator for that one and helping you out with the reactions, the questions, and everything else. Okay, so you mentioned the Presentation Summit. That's obviously the conference that's for presentation experts, people in our industry that's been happening for the last, 17 years in the US?
Around there.
Something.
Yeah. That Rick organizes. I just wanted to mention that one because people don't know that there is another conference in the presentation world, which is kind of sad story that people don't know, but yeah, we exist, and we have conference. So anyway, I just wanted to say that out loud as Echo did 20 minutes ago. So because you mentioned, go ahead, Echo.
If you don't want me to mention that, I can start over. And
no, it's perfectly fine. I actually wanted to go exactly in that direction. So because you mentioned the Presentation Summit, I remember that we didn't discuss very briefly something else that we have in our industry. And I know that you are involved in those things, and I just wanted to mention it so people hear about it. It's the certifications. So can you, maybe Echo, just add 1 or 2 sentences about the fact that our industry has certifications? What is going on in there? Like, brief us.
So let me see. I got to think about this.
Try to be brief, though. And
I will be very brief.
The founder of the Presentation Guild.
I founded a trade organization a few years ago called the Presentation Guild. And one of our reasons for existence is to advocate for our industry and help people legitimize those skills. It's hard to prove that you have excellent, superior PowerPoint skills, because everybody thinks they can use PowerPoint, and everybody can use PowerPoint, but there's a level of skill that you really need at certain times. And so we developed a certification program, and we came out with a certified presentation specialist exam a couple of years ago. We are currently working on the expert level exam, which is the intermediate exam, and there will someday be a master level exam as well. So if you are interested in those types of things, you can head to presentationguild.org, and there's more information there.
Perfect. That's more than enough. I mean, more than enough. I just wanted for us to kind of say it out loud and make sure that people know about those things. Anyhow, one of the questions that we always ask, I'm lying, we're not asking every single time, but in the last 15 episodes, is who should we get next on this podcast? Somebody that cares about presentations, somebody that made an impression on you with their presentation. Who are those people, Julie?
Yeah, I'm going to vote for, I'm going to suggest Yulia Barnikova, P-Spice, PowerPoint Spice. She's not only an incredible person, but she's got all of these, she's got a futuristic vision. And so she's just always sharing with us some of the latest, coolest technology and applications for PowerPoint, for instance. I
know her, so that is an easy one. Anyone else?
I totally agree with Julie. Like, get P-Spice. She has the pulse of all the amazing stuff just right there. And I think Lori Collar is doing amazing animation work also. So I think both of them would be awesome.
Yeah, I think I'll have Troy probably in a month or something, but then we can figure that one also. Anyway, where can people find
you want to have Lori also.
Yeah, that's easy. Once I get Troy, then it becomes easy. But I can actually ask her first. Why not?
I think you should.
Why not?
I think you should. Girl power. No, P-Spice would be awesome too. I'm so in awe of the stuff that she's doing.
Perfect. So those two people are definitely, if you are listening to the podcast right now, double check your LinkedIn or your email, because you probably have an email or a LinkedIn message from me already. Anyway, where can people find more about you? What is the channel that you are most active on, as people say nowadays? Julie?
I am probably on Twitter more often than LinkedIn or Facebook.
Julie, what about you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Julie Turberg. I also, if folks do want to check out the Presentation Guild, we have a Slack channel where folks can, they're just always posting questions for experts. Can you help me out? And so we help folks troubleshoot issues that they're having. And that happens right there on the Guild forums and on the Slack channel.
Okay, so we need to link your Twitter handles. We need to link the book. We need to invite you again for when the new book is released. That's clear. Right. And we need to link the Presentation Guild, obviously. I mean, I don't know who was on the pod. No one. It was no one. So we talked about the Guild again. So I'll make sure that we link the Guild yet again in this episode also. Final words? Anything special? Anything that you want to say to wrap this up?
I don't have anything. I know Julie wants to ask you a question though. No, thank you for having us, Boris. It's been awesome. A lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks so much, Boris. I would like to ask you why 356 Labs? Well, how did the name convention come about? Tell me what that means.
You don't know?
It has to do with color, right?
Oh, no.
Tell me.
Oh, no. It's very far away from colors or anything. Like, it's not related to colors. It's related to, first of all, when the company was starting, I tried all of the typical domains, and obviously none of them was there was no available domain. And then I was like, okay, I'm giving up. This is way too much effort now. Like, what's going on? I cannot find even a name that's going to work. And then I said, okay, different approach. Think outside of the box, Boris. Let's go. Let's hit it. And then I said, okay, let's use something that I personally care about. And then I said, okay, what am I caring about that much? And I said, okay, Porsche, the brand, is my favorite brand since I was a kid. I don't know who did this to me. Really, I really don't know why that happened to me, but that's the only material dream that I have, that's the only thing I'm dreaming of at some point. And I'm working on it, I'm working on it. So stay tuned about some future updates on the topic. So 356 is actually the first model of Porsche. And it's iconic. It's that model that's very, very popular with the simplicity of its design, right? So that is the first part of the name came from there. And then the labs came from, hey, if we're going to be doing a company around presentations or around anything, let's try to constantly push the limits, right? Let's constantly be on the latest trends, etc. So I combined those two words into one, 356labs.com, checked the domains, it was free. And I was like, here you have it. That's the name.
That worked.
Yeah. So Porsche. So now, all right. So anything Porsche and Boris, I'll have to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be connected in my head forevermore now.
I'm fanatic. I'm those true fans. You know, I was in the factory, in the museum in Stuttgart.
Wow.
I love it. I mean,
if you come to Michigan, there's a museum here.
Really?
And my friend, it's called the Gilbert. It's on the west side of Michigan. My friend Michael is heavily involved with that and the Porsche Owners Club. And they had, what is her name? Janis Joplin's decorated. Did you see her decorated Porsche? I'll
sure
send you a
one
picture.
is it?
I'll send you a picture.
Perfect.
They had it there at the museum.
I'm looking at.
And so I yes, I can get you a tour of the museum.
By the way, that is a question to everyone that's going to be listening to this. Do you know about this brand that's called Singer? Have you heard about that one?
What?
Singer Porsche design.
No.
Well, check that out. Singer Porsche design and be amazed. I mean, be amazed. One of those Porsches cost more than $1 million each. These guys are fanatics. Echo, do you see them already?
Yeah. I was just Googling. So yeah, it looks like the old 356 that you were.
It's the 911s. It's the first 911s, but they are crafted. Everything is handmade there. Like it's insane. It's insane.
So you need to look up Janis Joplin's 356 Porsche because it was custom painted in a very 60s psychedelic paint job.
Okay.
That's the one I want you to see.
Okay. Well, I'm not hoping for the 356 for a first Porsche, but at some point.
This is awesome.
I will go for the 718 for the first one, but then maybe
you can buy posters.
What's that?
You can buy posters of it. Janis Joplin's Porsche.
I have enough. Posters for okay. Anyway, so perfect. Ego, Julie, thanks for doing this. We are going to link absolutely everything, your Twitter handles, the presentation guild, the book, everything will be in the show notes. So everyone check it out. Thanks for joining again. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Thank you, Boris.
It's great seeing you, Boris.
Had a good time.
Great talking with you.
Absolutely. So we can obviously talk about that for hours and hours. But anyway, I'm just asking people, if you guys have any questions in regards to templates or anything else, just shoot them on social media and I'll make sure that I will tag Echo and Julie to help you out with them. If I'm not able or someone is not able to help, but still I want everyone here, all of us three, to see the question that potentially can come from somebody. In the meantime, also visit not just their websites and not only follow them on Twitter, but check 356 Labs, obviously, and not 365 Labs. Everybody, let's go 356labs.com to see what we are doing. And of course, Present to Succeed, our conference, the biggest presentation skills event that's happening in April. Check that out and get your tickets now. Thanks again for listening and see you in the next one.